Well, it's been a hot week and there's some hot news in the e-mountain bike world. So we're bringing you all the gossip from Germany, from Dubai, and also from the hills of Somerset. Now, starting off the show this week, we've got news from Germany that YT have got a new range of Decoy bikes. They've got the Decoy MX and the Decoy with 29-inch wheels. Now, beginning with the Decoy MX, 29 in front, 27.5 on the rear. Shimano EP8 motor on some of the models, although some of the models have also got the E8000 motor in there. 540 watt-hour battery. This bike, Chris, is very much a gravity-based bike, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if YT could market me and you a bike, I think the Decoy MX is aimed more at my style, and that 29er I think ticks all the boxes for you, right?
It's not about style, Chris. It's just about riding bikes. Anyhow, it's the difference between the MX and the 29. Obviously, the wheel size is one, but there's some key differences in the geometry. Now, the 29-inch version of the Decoy, it's a slightly bigger bike. I mean, both come in five sizes. Although the 29-inch bike has got a slightly longer chainstay. I think it's 458 on the 29 and 442, I think, on the MX. So that's going to alter the sort of the handling characteristics of both bikes. As Chris says, one's more of an all-mountain bike. The other one is more of a gravity bike park bike. A range of materials, Chris, on both bikes. Some of them have got all alloy frames, some of them got alloy carbon mix, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think what they've done is they've added the core range to this lineup. So you've got those different price points, meaning that the different componentry on the bikes is going to be into relation of the price. And I think the base model of that 29er is coming in at £4,600 upwards for that range. So you can tailor that. It's a good entry point, and you can obviously step that up as you go to get a better components on the bike and difference in the frame materials, as Steve mentions.
Yeah. Now, it's quite interesting, I think, the 540 watt-hour battery. Now, some people might be saying, oh, 540, that's quite small. But I think it's important to understand that if you've got a smaller battery, then the weight distribution is a little bit lower down in the frame. And also, you've got the option of buying a spare battery, which means, 1,000 watt-hours, 1,100 watt-hours, that's more than enough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big day out, isn't it? I think with my Canyon, that's just a 500 watt-hour in my Torque, and the amount of runs that I do on that at the bike park is ridiculous.
Yeah. Right, folks, now move into things of a more material nature, and what I mean by that is that the famous cycling brand Rapha have got a new range of mountain bike wear. They've got jackets, they've got tops, they've got shorts, they've got socks, pretty much everything. I really like this range of clothing, Chris.
Did I see you rocking one of their Rapha jackets, Steve?
You did. But also Bryn Atkinson, super stylish Bryn Atkinson has got this. But what I really like about these is that they come with some adhesive patches. So some of the spare material which has been used in the manufacturing process, they've got these patches which come with the shorts, and it's basically, like I said, it's repurposed leftover material. And so basically, it's pretty much like a crash replacement. So you've got the option of fixing it yourself or sending it back. Nice range of materials in here. I particularly like the tops. I think it's the styling as well. Nice kind of wide collar on this tee here. It's like they do a tech tee as well. Nice. But yeah, definitely my cup of tea, this, Chris. Really like it.
Yeah, sure. I did like that jacket you were wearing the other day. You did look pretty pimp, I've got to say.
That's very kind, Chris. I think that's the first time you've ever said that. But guys, these Rapha have just launched this. Prices are pretty reasonable, actually, for such a high-end clothing brand. So check out the Rapha website. And also going to have a look at what Bryn Atkinson's up to in his Rapha gear and his super style.
Definitely.
Moving on now, Chris, to the Specialized battery recall.
Yeah, so if you own one of the older Levo or Kenevo models, the ones with this switch on the side of the battery, so sort of, I'd imagine 2017 to 2019, rough kind of year, they're actually recalling the batteries on those because they've had a problem with some water getting into the switches, which can cause a malfunction. There's lots of details on the website, so if you've got one of those bikes, you might be entitled to a bit of free of charge work to get that battery modified. and make it a lot safer. But check out Specialized website, and we'll put a link up on screen now with all the information.
And as Chris said, that is for the older models of the Levo from around 2018. Now, as I mentioned, we're bringing you news from Germany and also Dubai. Now, Nireeka is a brand from Dubai. We've seen these bikes on the channel many times before. The first time I saw them, they were like a sub £1,000 offering, but things seem to have changed. They've now got this one here, which is $2,500. It's got an 840 watt-hour battery and a 1,000 watt motor from Bafang. This is heavy duty, isn't it?
It's pretty pimp, isn't it? I think it's, it's a full carbon chassis on this bike, but what I've noticed is actually rigid. There is no suspension on this bike whatsoever, apart from those monstrous big fat tyres. So I think that's got to be one of the first rigid mid-drive e-bikes that we've seen, Steve.
I think we might have seen. No, we haven't, have we? Not. I mean, the thing is, like, the top end trail bike here is the NYX, right? It's got the Bafang M600 motor in it, 120 newton meters of torque, full carbon, $4,999. So, guys, actually, Nireeka, if you're tuning into this, we'd love to actually see your bikes in the flesh. If it means coming up to Dubai, then not a problem at all. We can get on that flight.
Definitely. I think another one to mention in their lineup, Steve, is this Homey bike. Now, this is their full suspension bike, full carbon fibre frame, 670 watt-hour batteries, Shimano components. It is a hub drive bike, though, but the base price of that is $1,999. So a full suspension carbon fibre bike with 670 watt-hours of battery. Yeah. Pretty impressive price point for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, so there you go, folks. Some big news this week. Let us know your thoughts on the new range of bikes from YT. Do you go for the MX or do you go for the 29? What do you think of the Nireeka bikes? And what do you think about this new Rapha kit? I think, some good stuff. Pretty pimp. Now, as the sun slowly moves into my territory out here in the garden, we've got what's on the channel this week. Now, on Friday, we've got mistakes all e-mountain bikers make. Or maybe those are mistakes that Chris makes, but he wants everybody to know about them. And then Sunday, by hot demand, and we did have some comments this week from some people saying we don't see enough Q bikes on the channel. Well, great news for you guys. We've got Danny Hart, flat out rush hour, out on some downhill tracks up in the north of England. It's a flat out piece of action from the former world downhill champion.
I'm looking forward to that one. It sounds amazing. And on Monday, we've got the top downgrades that you can make to your bike. So swapping out those components, which are kind of upgrades, but they're downgrades. If you don't understand what I'm on about, check it out Monday. Right, it's time for comments and questions from all the recent videos, and we had quite a lot of feedback on Steve's recent one. Do you need big range gearing? Now, Marcus Ilamaki saying 12 speed is completely unnecessary and entails a weaker 12 speed chain, not ideal for e-mountain bikes. The ideal powertrain for an e-mountain bike is 11 speed full steel Dior or SRAM GX cassette that will have the wide range of about 1150 and the necessary hyperglide and power glide for that shifting that you need under power.
Yeah, Marcus, well, the 12 speed is actually made for eMTB. It's not, it is, people do use it. But I think the most important thing to remember is, if I could remember, Chris. But Chris, one thing to remember, I think, is it depends on the gradient. Now, a few of you asked what was the gradient. It doesn't actually come across on camera, but it is, it's more than 30% that hill we were going up. So
I know that hill, it is steep.
yeah. But an interesting subject, isn't it? Because if you think about it, in the video you did, replacing a 12-speed cassette, some of those cassettes are, upwards of £300. Some of the derailleurs, such as the Axis, can be £700. So, it's a consumable, isn't it? And
definitely. And
yeah,
I think you're right. What you mentioned about the chain. I think obviously the the more gears you get, the thinner the chain has got to be. And obviously, snap chains are fairly common with e-mountain bikes, particularly if you're shifting under power. So making that stronger, I think, is a good move. And hopefully, with the Shimano Link Glide system, that's what we're going to be waiting for.
Yeah, so next up, maybe Chris can do the translation on this, but I'm not going to let him. So this is from Dewin Doith Duddle. Great to hear from you. I'd happily trade away the little rings for a more steady spread of low ratios. I'm old enough to remember building cassettes blocks from individual rings to suit the rider and riding. Yeah, wise words there from Dewin.
I really like that. So he's saying that they used to build your own cassette. So you have a different range of sprockets and build your own cassette. Now, I think this is quite cool, actually. I think you could tailor it to suit your riding or your power or your bike. But
don't you remember those days, Chris?
No, I don't. I'm not that old.
And then Rich S says, yep, you've confirmed my findings. If the going gets tough on an e-bike, we've got the option to top up the motor power. No need for massive 52-tooth cassettes. Guys, thanks for your comments. It's good to discuss some of these subjects rather than get carried away. Because remember, the first Levo bikes actually came with lower ratio cassettes on the bike.
Right, it's time for Send of the Week. What have we got this week then, Steve?
Well, we've got Brant out in Florida and a lovely little tabletop here with some timber on it.
Bit of North Shore action going on, isn't it, in the middle?
Yeah, it looks very sultry there, I have to say.
Nice and smooth as well, isn't it? So he's out in Florida at the Althea State River Park and Loyce Hart Park. Nice and smooth.
Brant, great to see it. Great to see it.
Nice.
Right, now then, out and about this week is being kicked off by Trevor out on Bolton Castle in Wensleydale. Look at that little hut there, like that, on his All Bear Wild FSM10.
Is that like one of those little bothies or something you can stay in, is it?
Yeah, it is. And then next up, a little further south, is João on his Giant Trans E 2021 between Loures and Ponte de Lusa near Lisbon in Portugal. What a fantastic part of the world that is. Yeah, and I'd be in the sea, not in the hills. Next up is Alistair and his Cube Zero Hybrid. Now this is above Kinlochleven in the West Highland Way. Chris, that looks pretty moody skies in the background, doesn't it?
It does look like a bit of a rain cloud incoming, I think, there.
Yeah, Kinlochleven. That's where, what's that famous climb in Kinlochleven? It's called Grey Mares Ridge, isn't it? It was used in the Scottish 6 Days, Grey Mares Ridge, using the Scottish 6 Days trial.
I have no idea.
Something a bit flatter now, isn't it? Next up with Jamie and the Giant Trans X. Where is that, Chris?
It's up in Biggin Hill in Kent. So it's looks pretty flat there, doesn't it? Big blue sky, big green field, looks pretty lush as well. Exploring the local trails, totally hooked on e-biking. First few rides out, never would have attempted these rides on a non-e-bike. Nice. Yeah,
Chris, hook us up with the location of the next one then. Lee's All Bear Rise. Give us some insight.
So
Where is this?
Looks like an old copper mine in Freog. Is that right, Steve?
Freog it is.
Ah, got it.
Freog.
Ding, 1 point.
And finally, Patrick, YT Decoy Shred in Ballycastle in Northern Ireland. What a fantastic place to hang out and have a few Guinnesses, which I have done many times in the past. What a spot. There's actually a village called Downhill not far from there. Did you know that?
Really? A town called Downhill? Nice.
It's Downhill, and you can drive on the beach.
Nice. Well, I love seeing all those entries here, don't we? We've got some amazing, classic entries this week. Keep them coming, send them in using that upload service. It could be you on next week's show.
Okay folks, time for us now to look at your steeds. Time for us to gaze and graze at your bikes in the bike vault. And I think Brandt's Focus Sam Squared is definitely a super nice start to this week's bike vault. And then followed by Richard. Richard, are you having a laugh? Surely, is that real? Is that real, Richard?
I saw it when it come in. I was like, I think there's got to be some Photoshop going on there. But then
I don't know. It's
the bike
pretty
almost
awesome,
looks Photoshopped, doesn't it?
It's
the
pretty
bike looks
awesome.
Photoshopped on the background.
We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Richard. And I mean, how can it not be anything other than a super nice for that?
Definitely. Check this one out from Richard. He's got his Cube Stereo Hybrid 160 up in Comrie Croft Bike Park, out for a late afternoon ride. Looks like way up in the hills there. Is that granite, Steve? Limestone? You know your rocks.
It does look... can I come back to you on that?
Okay, let me know. I can't wait for that one.
I'm getting some reflection here in the sun.
I'm giving that one a nice.
Yeah. And Vlad in the Carpathian Mountains in Romania. Oh, it's great, isn't it, when we get these faraway places? Vlad, your Merida looks awesome. And I think, again, Romania, one place I would seriously love to go and ride e-bikes, and I think that's a super nice there, Vlad.
It's a super bright bike, is that, isn't it? In contrast to this one from John, he's got his 2019 YT Decoy Base out in Ohana Trail in Kaliua. Is that right, Steve?
What are you asking me for? All I can tell you is he's got gum wall tyres on his bike, and I think they're great. And
does look super nice.
He's got 38s on there. It's a super nice shot. What I like is the fact that the C-tube angle and the head tube angle are actually in line with the trees. That is cool.
66, is it? And what angle is that tree at?
The tree, I think the tree's actually at a 62 head angle, and I think
62?
the fork is more of a 64 head angle. So, yeah, close. John, super nice.
Bit of pampas grass. Is that pampas grass going on in the background here
Chris,
from
why
Les?
are you asking me about pampas grass?
Because you know about everything out there in nature. Rocks, plants, you name it.
Pampas grass is more of a Somerset thing than a Welsh thing, surely. anyhow, it's Les, and he's smashing the laps in Woodhill in New Zealand, and I think that is super nice. The blue sky, the contrast with the orange bike. Yeah, Les, loving it. Next up is Mark. Chris, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Nicely placed that, I think.
It is, isn't it? Clean looking bikes. Has been watching the EMBN show for quite a few years now and just picked up his fresh new e-bike. So it's got to be a super nice, I think, with that colour coding on, the pedals, the bottles, the grips, even got the ergon grips on there as well.
I think the sun has definitely got to me and Chris this week. There seems to be a continual stream of super nice. But they are, though, aren't they? They are.
Yeah, definitely. And the final
and
shot.
What about the puppy? Look at the puppy.
So this is Branko. So this is a Specialized Kenevo Expert 2021 model out in Zvit. He's even put pronunciation in here.
So this is what we have to deal with, right? So Branko has given us the pronunciation. Yeah. How can you get this wrong, Chris? It's Zrece.
Zrece, Slovenia.
Zrece.
In Slovenia. Brought a new beast.
Get the vodka in.
And this is his dream bike he's had for 2 years and finally got around to buying it. And I think the dog is super impressed as well. So I think we're going to round this up with a super nice. It's got to be Steve, right?
Dream bike, dream dog. What's the dog's name? What's the dog's name, Branko?
But keep all those entries coming in for the Bike Vault user upload service for anything you want us to feature here on EMBN. Love seeing all your content. And let us know what you think about today's show as well. All the latest news from around the world concerning e-bikes, the Bike Vault, where in the world, you name it. Get involved in the comments. Love to hear from you guys. And that's about it. We shall see you next week.
That's it for this week's show. Now, next week, we've got some hot new product from another bike manufacturer. So please stay tuned to that. We've got a little mini in-depth look into something new hot off the press. So we'll see you then.